Tash Dile, and welcome to Tibet This Week. This is Sakina Bhatt with another edition of Weekly News on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. His Holiness the Dalai Lama chairs meetings with business leaders and professionals from India, Vietnam and Russia. CTA President Dr. Lobsang Singhe's second visit to Lithuania raises greater awareness for Tibet. Former Botswana President Dr. Anne Khama issues statement on the 7th World Parliamentarian Convention on Tibet. Tibet's environment raised at UN climate discussions. Tibetans detained in Karzai for praying and calling for Panchen Lama's release. One more torture survivor, former political prisoner Yeshe Gyatso, passes away. AISSCE result 2019 of Tibetan schools improved. Victory for Tibet rings at 62nd Emmys Award as Tibetan Emmys winner chairs Pheu Gyalo in her acceptance speech. TIPA's Yarki Festival 2019 celebrates excellent preservation and promotion of Tibetan theoretical art and culture in the last 60 years. His Holiness the Dalai Lama met with a group of business leaders and professionals from India, Vietnam and Russia at his residence in Dharamshala on Monday this week. His Holiness emphasized on the importance of education that includes instructions on how to achieve and maintain peace of mind. His Holiness further encouraged the gathering to learn about mind and emotions and reiterated the need to take a scientific approach.
Moral ethics, very important. Previously, I think not much talk that, and people consider education field, the moral things are not much relevant. Now, more and more people showing. It's quite simple. In order to create more peaceful society, very much related with moral principle.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama condoles loss of lives in cyclone-hit Orissa. In his condolence letter to the Chief Minister of Odisha, Navin Patnaik, His Holiness wrote, "I offer my condolence to those families who have lost loved ones and my prayers for the welfare of everyone affected by this huge cyclone." As a mark of solidarity with the people of Odisha, His Holiness has made a donation from the Dalai Lama Trust towards the rebuilding efforts. An extremely severe cyclonic storm called Fani ravaged the eastern coastal state of Orissa, causing widespread havoc and destruction of properties. CTA President Dr. Lobsang Singhe arrived in Lithuania's capital city, Vilnius, for a week-long visit to the Baltic region, including Latvia, on Sunday this week. Drawing parallels between the experiences of the three Baltic states under the then Soviet Union's communist regime and the Tibet experience, Dr. Singhe called on wider international community and Lithuania in particular to extend support for Tibet. "If you are for freedom, for human rights, for democracy, then you must support Tibet," said Dr. Singhe. Dr. Lobsang Singhe was also hosted at the Vilnius Institute for Policy Analysis by Professor Sarunas Likis, Professor of Politics, where he delivered a talk on geopolitics of China in Europe, Tibet, a case study. However, Dr. Singhe's visit to Lithuania once again triggered criticism from the Chinese embassy in Lithuania. The Embassy of China in Lithuania strongly opposed and openly condemned the press conference where CTA President Dr. Singhe was invited to address along with Professor Vytautas Landsbergis, Lithuania's first head of state after its independence declaration from the Soviet Union, and other MPs.
We are appalled by the Chinese embassy's comment on the visit of President Lobsang Singhe to attend the 6th World Parliamentary Convention on Tibet. It is clear that President Lobsang Singhe is the elected leader of the Tibetan people. He represents the Tibetan people, 6 million Tibetan people, and he has the full right to express on the issue of Tibet. It's clear that China invaded Tibet and occupied Tibet in 1949-50, and since then, Tibetan people do not enjoy human rights in Tibet. And because of that one, President Lobsang Singhe, being the free spokesman of the Tibetan people, he has the full right to express what's happening in Tibet.
parliamentary leaders and esteemed delegates will gather in Riga, Latvia for the 7th World Parliamentarian Convention on Tibet from 7 to 10th May. A day ahead of the 7th World Parliamentarians Convention on Tibet, His Excellency the former President, Lieutenant General Dr. Sarati Khama in Khama issued a statement to the delegates appealing for united efforts to support the objectives of the Central Tibetan Administration and the Tibetan people they represent. The World Parliamentarians Convention on Tibet seeks to reinvigorate and galvanize global support for Tibet through concerted efforts and deliberations on the parliamentary front. The United Nations Working Group on the Right to Development is currently in the midst of its 20th session, reviewing the progress made in the implementation of the right to development. An interactive dialogue between member states, experts and civil society groups was held, focusing on the implications of the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development. On behalf of Society for Threatened People, Kunchok Yakla said, "When we are discussing climate change, it is surprising to see that many people do not know about the world's third pole, which is the Tibetan Plateau. Despite Tibet's ecological significance to the world, it is concerning that the region is absent from the global climate discussions." Chinese authorities have detained 4 Tibetans for praying for the release of the Panchen Lama in Sershul County, Karzai Prefecture in the traditional Kham province of Tibet. They were on a week-long cleanup drive on a mountain close to a Sershul monastery, where one of them reportedly prayed for the health and early release of Panchen Lama. On their way back, they were arrested by the local police. According to news reports, the local police confiscated their cell phones and also prevented the family members from visiting them. Yeshi Gyatso, a 50-year-old former political prisoner in Tibet and a torture survivor, passed away last Wednesday. Yeshi Gyatso was arrested on 31st March 2008 for taking part in the 2008 peaceful protest. He was detained for several months, during which he was tortured and beaten severely. Yeshi Gyatso's passing away is the 3rd death of a former political prisoner dying due to health conditions sustained in the Chinese prisons and detention centers in the recent times. The Central Board of Secondary School released the result of All India Senior School Certificate Examination 2019. From the arts stream, Tenzing Gangso topped with 92%, from the commerce stream, Tenzing Lungring topped with 89.6%, and from the science stream, Karma Finsok Dawa from TCV Salakhui has topped among the Tibetan students, securing 470 out of 500 with 94%. The overall pass percentage of Tibetan schools in this year's Class 10 CBSE exams has recorded 91%, a significant improvement from last year's 87.47% and the highest score recorded in the last 3 years. A young Tibetan woman in New York, Ms. Kunchok Dolma, won the prestigious American TV award, the Emmys, on Saturday last week. Kunchok Dolma received the award for the TV series Rolando's Rights, which she created and produced for a program We Speak NYC at the New York Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs.
For all the adult educators doing incredible work with limited resources, for the 3.2 million immigrant New Yorkers making America great again and again and again. Here to stay, Bogalo.
Her TV series Rolando's Rights won the Emmys in the category of the Instructional Informational Video Production. Kunchok Dolma is a Tibetan refugee who helps immigrants in New York to learn English through the We Speak NYC initiative of the New York Mayor's Office of Immigrants Affairs. This year's Yerki Festival of Tipa celebrated 60 years of excellence in preservation and promotion of Tibetan arts and culture in exile on Wednesday this week. The members of Tipa observed a spectacular 2-hour performance of Tibetan opera, cultural songs, dance and theatre. The Summer Festival of Yerki is a cultural competition held every year to mark the founding anniversary of Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. That's all for this week's edition of Tibet This Week. See you next time and have a great weekend.